Hello guys. We appreciate you coming to, again, another episode of the Community REIT. I'll start off by saying, because we don't want to get caught in too much communication in depth, that the Community REIT, I need to share what the Community REIT is. The Community REIT is a real estate investment trust group that is a completely black-owned startup that is a hospitality REIT for the Americas and essentially all over the country. For the opposite of that, we do healthcare. We do strategic healthcare to make sure that we stay, popular in the market, right? Well, let me go right in the depth. Community REIT, ideal behind it is that tens of thousands of people have come online and asked me, Mr. Reed, to join them in a business association. Then came from the Holy Spirit an ideal of the Community REIT to identify 40,000 black investors to cultivate the Community REIT. And the goal is to build 40,000 multimillionaires, right? But in following my perspective on TikTok, I am what you call a speaker to the health, wealth, and understanding of black people. And so I have to do the same thing. I have to stay in line with that. So Solomon, who is my compadre in this Community REIT, and I came up with the conceptualism that, okay, Mr. Reed, not only are we going to cultivate investors and talk about real estate and have people on that are expert in real estate, development, construction, insurances, accounting, all of the delineated aspects of development, but we're going to talk about the sicknesses that black people have that keep them from involving themselves in black economics. The thing that I'm going to start off, and I'm glad you asked this question, Solomon, even though you didn't. I'm going to say that a lot to Solomon when I want to interrupt him. Okay, so whenever I say that, I want to interrupt him. I had a thought today, Solomon, before we get into it, before we get into my book. I'm going to call it an overarching manifest destiny. Okay? Let's say there is a subculture within a culture that had been manifested, right? I'm going to tell a story, and I don't mean to offend anybody. This is just reality. When I was a young man, growing up in Louisiana, I would see these commercials called Care, right? And in these commercials, they were predominantly Ethiopian, they were predominantly West African, they were predominantly Indian, and they were predominantly Chinese. And at this time, 50 years ago or so, all of these countries were significantly diminished. They had no economy, right? Now, this is in contrast to right now. China is the wealthiest country and the most powerful country on earth. I don't care what anybody says, I know this because I'm a businessman. Ethiopia has stabilized itself. Nigeria has stabilized itself and has taken off, right? And obviously, India the same way. Now, how did this happen? Well, all of these groups had an idea of being part and a significant part of a subculture. So they identified themselves, they were identified by the manifest destiny of Western people. Let's say Western people being the Spanish, essentially all of the white colonies that are derived from Rome, okay? Now, forget about how this happened. We all know that people were colonized and all that, and let's not forget about it. Let's give credence and respect to it. But the reality is, at some point, all these cultures I just discussed with you became part of a subculture. What does that mean? I am a great fan, Solomon and Marcel, of King Darius, which was the first king of the Persians. King Darius had a concept that I very much respected, where he would allow the culture to keep all their cultural beliefs, religious, their internal, how they ate, everything they did. And so what does that do? That allows a culture to be themselves. And I would say, even though they're dominated, Solomon and Marcel, they have some kind of self-esteem about themselves and believe in themselves. You know, contradiction, and I'm going to go into contradiction to black people in Africa and all over the world. We were not allowed any of that, okay? And so within these cultures I discussed, they develop subcultures. Even in America, Nigerians are Nigerians, right? Even in America, Ethiopians are Ethiopians. In America, Indies are Indies. In America, Chinese are Chinese. But they've learned to integrate themselves. And Chinese more than most, and Indian more than most, have learned to integrate themselves into white society. Let's call it that. Or the white socioeconomic society. So in growing that culture, what have they done? They've allowed their culture in India, Nigeria, China, and others to stabilize themselves. I say this all the time. When I hear some of my Caucasian friends discussing the Chinese, I'm like, look, man, I said, let me explain it to you. I said, let's say for a couple of 100 years, at the most. You go over to a community, you've destabilized them, and essentially you said, and because this is a process, they are accustomed to demolishing people, going in later on and saying, okay, here is our religion, our belief system, and now we want you to do some work. So how we're going to help you get back on your feet is you're going to do our work, okay? Well, the Chinese, what they did is they mastered everything. But what most people don't understand is they were already good at everything before this happened. Some of us have watched the old movies about the beautiful canvases that the Asian people made. And you hear about Persian rugs and all this other stuff, right? Well, the Chinese were the best at that, right? Indies had their own culture. All these people had their own culture. So their culture grew through subcultures from all these European countries. So where they believed that this would last forever, okay, because this is why I'm missing the point. Solomon, what came along in the subculture of all these countries were true believers. We have them. We're going to talk about them today. When we discuss circular reasoning, we're going to talk about the true believers. That's what keeps the dominant society of manifest destiny in place, right? So these subcultures go back to their countries or their continents and they integrate themselves. So how do they do that, Solomon? Solomon's a very well-educated young man, but he's originally from Cameroon. So if Solomon wanted to go back to Cameroon right now and he could take his skill set and his education, he could do that. And what the American companies would do is they would either invest in Solomon or they would allow Solomon to identify the right contracts and relationships so that they could build on him. Well, Chinese people, Asians, other Asians, and Nigerian groups, Ethiopian groups did the same thing. When they took their subculture up there, they built it up. Now they're at a point where they no longer need the manifest destiny of others, right? And if they do, they're at a different place where Solomon, they're no longer asking for work, they're negotiating work. How does that sound? So then let's get to the point. What are we trying to do with the community REIT? Right now, we're trying to build, Solomon, a strong subculture. By building that subculture, because whether we want to believe it or not, Solomon, we are our own people here in the United States. We have to have a subculture, and right now we are divided. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Solomon. This is the greatest thing that Mr. Reed has conceptualized in his book that divides us. We call it, ladies and gentlemen, circular reasoning. Now I'm going to leave it there and let Uncle Solomon take it over.
Before we get started, I need to let the audience know. We've had, I want to say, 3 different episodes where we've talked about circular reasoning, and it's very important that y'all go back and watch them. Like those videos, you get to know who I am, who Marcel is, because we've talked about this over and over and over, and we're not going to stop until our people get to, our people have to get it for us to move forward. But before we get started, Mr. Reed, everything that you said is 100% right. And that has led me to one question. I don't know if you looked at my questions, but I got one question to start this off with. And I'm gonna ask this question, and either you or Marcel can feel free to answer. It goes, how does circular reasoning keep black people trapped into cycles of spiritual dependency and the prevention of true liberation?
Marcel, go ahead. Take the floor.
The way this happens is it has people trapped in systems and processes that don't really benefit us as a whole. For a while, like even it goes with TV, politicians, pastors. All these things has been used as mechanisms of control for us and not letting us have our own way of doing things. Everything we pretty much know has been used as propaganda against us rather than to help build us. Like Mr. Reed was just giving the backstory of the other cultures, how in the king, I forgot his name, but how he let them be them within a system. Everything we has been handed to us, and it doesn't really help us in any way. It's just pretty much like I know in the slave days, like how a lot of our food was made. It was literally the scraps of the pig, the scraps of all the stuff, and that's what we have been given, and that's what they want us to continue to eat. And that's not healthy at all. So that's pretty much how circular reason keeps us trapped in cycles.
Yeah, now you're saying that, and you took me back. So let me let the audience know. Last week I was able to read the first 2 chapters of Mr. Reed's book, and this week I was blessed again to get chapter 3 and chapter 4. And what you just said, it took me back to the book, and I want to read something to the audience, if that's okay with you, Mr. Reed. I know they
Yes, go ahead.
read. It says, black people fear implementation of their own plan in the world. When a culture or group, distinct and rejected by others, refuse to organize and implement their own plan, they inevitably become a part of another's manifest destiny.
That's right.
So, looking at that and going into the black community, right? Marcel, feel free again to chime in with this question.
Okay.
Why is it that the strategic mindset from the book Out of War, a critical standpoint or a critical pivotal moment that we need to incorporate into the black community to move forward, to become more reactive, and to move towards a long-term power?
Pretty much is because it just all comes down to having a plan of what we got going on. We're very confused and in chaos of like the reality of our world, or the reality that we actually live in, and not the one we want to perceive by religion, where you just turn the cheek and everybody's supposed to get along. Unfortunately, that's not how this goes. One of the laws in the book, the most important law, I have it right here, I'm gonna read it. Is the moral law causes the people to be in complete accord with their ruler, so that they will follow him regardless of their lives, undismayed by any danger. Which means like we'll just take anything somebody give us and take it as law, take it as the truth, and not have any level of discernment, not have any comparative analysis against where we would like to go as a people and where we at now. So you're just pretty much confused as how do we get to the next step? Like we still haven't taken a step. And really we just still haven't created a plan that we all could follow. Because it has to be a monolithic plan and not Mr. Reed doing that over here, Solomon doing that over here, and I'm doing this. That doesn't help us do anything.
I think one of the things, if you allow me, Marcel, to interrupt, one of the things that I don't believe that the Westerners understood that they were doing, but by essentially the way their uniformity allowed other cultures or the subcultures to be uniform. Okay? I need this done in order. Okay? Even down to the point, I say this all the time. You fed a gorilla for 100 years, but you want the food back. You gave Asia all of your work. You gave Asia all of your strategies. You gave Asia all of your concepts, your quality control understandings of what your expectations were for what they were building, your specs, your processes. And then you get my gentleman in there, Donald Trump, give them back to me. Patent law. You can't go back on patent law. Look, Nike's been around for what? 70-some years? Now you say all of a sudden I want this back. No, we're not doing that. Right? And imagine no one would do it. Because you no longer know how to make, we know how to make these as best as you are. And anything that would redefine patent is gone away, because essentially every sneaker is the same. My point is this, and let me define this. Art of War is a book that is a book of reality. Okay, it's the book essentially when you hear Western philosophy, they're always talking about these great strategists. Okay, well, why are they still what they're doing for other people, right? So you feel of Patton and General Adams and all these other great strategists, but it's not a great strategy. It's a facade and illusion. If you tell the people that genuinely believe in the plan that you have, and you don't give them the details, there are not many people, Solomon, that read The Art of War like I do and see it. I've heard people, I have mentees that literally have read the book over and over and had never seen some of the stuff I've shown them. And one of the biggest things that Marcel just said is the law of morality. There are 5 laws in the book, originally 5 laws. The first law is the law of morality. Most people, not only Solomon in the black community, but all over the world, are stuck on the first law, the moral law. The moral law, if you don't get past it, you won't see anything else. You understand? Like literally you can't say, if I can control what you believe, Solomon, I can control what you eat. I can control where you go. I can control who you talk to, who you marry. I can control everything. Think about it. The concepts that we have of marriage are not given by God. They're given by a book. Not only will use the word evolve because God doesn't evolve. He stays right here and he waits for you to come back to where he is. but you have a group of people that need to benefit a certain way. So they need to, what do? The moral law. I need to speak about God. If you speak about God, it's a lightning rod. And then you say, not only do you just need to believe in this God, but you also he needs to look like this. Okay? What do people say when they see and again, this isn't racist at all, but when do you see somebody with a beard and long brown hair? Man, you look like Jesus. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how Art of War, because Art of War, the first law black people are stuck on. You can't say nothing against Jesus, and I'm going to be honest with you, because I gotta show some appreciation for God using the Bible. But it took years for black people to even say the Bible wasn't God. Because most black people, it ain't in the word. I'm like, okay. Now, sometimes black people can look at that and say, oh, I can step away from this and look at something else. But not enough of us. Some of us still believe the Bible's God. And the only issue is, because I sent it to Solomon today, hell. They think they're going to hell if they don't. Do you understand what I'm saying? They don't. Nobody really says that, but the only thing black people really feel is hell. And the hell that the Western community gave them, right? So why did I believe that circular reasoning was so important? Because it's a concept that, first of all, starts with falsehood. Okay? The reason the Bible is fraudulent is because it needed to be. And then we go back to something else that Marcel so eloquently said, a plan. To combat a plan, what do you have to have? A plan. And so that's what this came about. I said, well, if I'm going to write this book and I'm going to do anything, I can't be like John Hope Bryant. I can't be like Martin Luther King. I can't be like anybody else. I have to have a plan. So what is the plan? It's simple. Let's start a real estate investment trust. Something that's simple and balanced, something that's strategic, something that is a real directive. The directive in doing any business, guys, is what? To make money. So to combat a plan, we came up with, and everything that we do, meaning the community REIT, all of us that are on this live, is to make money for black people. Of course, make money for ourselves too. One of the things we are not going to do on this podcast is lie. If you think Mr. Reed don't love money, you are crazy. Mr. Reed love money. Not like, love it. But the goal is to teach you how to get it first. Okay, I'm going to use Solomon saying this. What is the first thing I do before I start teaching any of my mentees about money? What's the first question I asked you? You remember?
The first question, well, I remember our first session, we asked me, what's my relationship with God? And that's where everything.
Who are you?
Yep, who am I?
And in that, every person is separated. We're in parts. The goal is to bring you together. So I can't bring you together without the help of God, okay? The other part of that is, what is your trauma? That's the third thing I asked you. Because to be you, I got to get this noose from around your neck, this albatross from around your neck. Who are you? Let's remove it. Same thing with Marcel. Who the fuck are you? We got to fix you. We got to remove your trauma. And I'm sorry for cussing. I know you got to take that out. But I got to remove your trauma, okay? And we started working on our trauma. Black people have trauma that they haven't worked on. And the reason they haven't worked on it because they don't want to tell themselves the truth. I've been given a bunch of stuff that I really don't believe, but I fear two things. I fear the Western community, and I fear going to hell. Go ahead, Solomon.
See.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
We hadn't even gotten to that part yet, but I'm glad you touched on it. See, a couple of weeks ago, I was down in Chicago back in, I think, June. I was in Chicago, and I was driving by, and I saw a full-blown Indian community. They had schools, they have shopping centers, they have playgrounds in their own little corner. I was on TikTok the other time, and I saw, even on the news, white-only communities. They're building whatever they're building for themselves.
I live in
one. Yeah. Yep. So we look around society, and we see all these other cultures are doing their thing. But my people, the black people, we don't recognize the fact that we're at war. Like you always mentioned, Mr. Reed, we don't get to understand the concept that we are at war.
That's right.
And we need to come up with a plan, and we need to move silently.
That's right. Let's first of all say that, let me interject, so we don't want the government to cut us off. When we mean war, what do we mean, Solomon? I got to ask you that question, and you have to answer to make sure. They won't think we gathering a bunch of weapons and all that. So go ahead.
So I'm gonna reference your book. I think this is specifically chapter 4, where it came also from the art of war. We're not into the wars because we've already gone through the protesting. We've gone through the marching around and doing all these things. When we're talking about war, we're talking about the strategic alliances that's gonna get us to where we need to be at.
That's right.
We need to build out our economy. First things first. I know we talked about this on previous videos. I'm gonna have to keep referencing our videos so people can go back and watch them. We've talked about how the black people, we believe that white people created money because we don't understand. Yeah, we talk about the economy, but because we don't understand what even the economy is.
Yes.
But if we really look at it, it's simply the allocation of scarce resources. And the number one thing that's scarce these days is money. We all work for it. We all love it. But we don't control it. We don't have access to it. We don't have anything to do with money.
That's right.
So, unless Marcel, you got something to add, I'm gonna move over to the next question because we can talk about this all year. I don't get tired of that.
Now we can keep going.
All right. So my next question would be: in what ways have religion and political systems used circular logic to maintain control over the black community?
As the elder statesman, Solomon, I think you're pretty equipped right now to answer that question, or to at least give some context to it. And if you don't mind, then we'll let Marcel go.
Let me get straight into it. It comes back to that circular reasoning. I say that because I'm a 30-year-old male, and all throughout my life, circular reasoning has been a part of it. To the clothes I wear, the food I eat, the how I communicate, even my relationships, everything has been around circular reasoning. I can't even think outside the box because I'm in the box. I'm stuck in it.
I like that. You gotta say that again. I like that.
I can't think outside the box because I'm stuck in it.
Yep.
You know, so governments and all these political parties, they have figured out that, okay, cool, if we can give the people something to get stuck in, we can operate outside that fact, we can control the money, we can control the media.
We can operate outside that what? What'd you say? We can operate outside that what?
Outside that loop.
Yeah.
You know, we're sitting here worried about social media. Like sometimes I get on TikTok and I see videos of people arguing. I'm originally from the United States and y'all came from Africa and so on and so forth. And I'm like, this is crazy to me because black people are the only community or culture on the internet arguing stuff like that.
Yep. And talking about Jesus too.
Yeah, we get so caught up in stuff that doesn't benefit us no way. We don't have no plans, no nothing. I'm not gonna say this because Mr. Reed, you're my mentor, but I have not been on TikTok and seen any black person stood up and put a live and go, "Hey, black people, I have a plan."
Me either.
I have a
plan.
plan.
My entire life.
Yeah, I have a plan. I have not met a black person who tapped me and go, "Hey, young man, I have a plan." And I think if 2, 3, 4 black people get together, we can achieve this goal.
Yep.
It hasn't occurred to me. Maybe the audience have run into something like that, but I haven't.
And if I can interrupt you, so it's always let's get some government money to do it. I know a 503c, and I'm like, dude, what about what's in your pocket? What about what's in your pocket? You got $10? Okay, let's get 100,000 of us together, and let's put that $10 together. I mean that $10, and let's do it. I mean, go ahead, Solomon. I didn't interrupt you, but I get hyped when you. Yeah, that's some good stuff. That's some good stuff, bro.
Yep. So it's just this circle, this loop that we're stuck in, and religion is playing a key factor in holding us back. And I believe I don't know how we can push this on so people can understand that the religion that we're handed, it's far, far away from God.
That's right.
Religion and God, they're not the same thing. We got to pick one, and we need to pick God. Forget about the religion. I remember reading the book, and there's a line on that. I'm gonna paraphrase it. It goes, "Have a straight relationship with God." And stop worrying about, I look at them as distraction. Your trauma is sitting here, religion is sitting here, your pastor is sitting here, the priest is over here telling you got to do X, Y, and Z to have a relationship with God. Why don't we just go straight to God with our plan and go, "God, this is our plan. How do we move from here?"
Amen.
You know, so I'm gonna let.
That made so much sense. That made so much sense. It was almost like, oh, that makes sense. Why not go to, look, first of all, let me say this. If the Bible is correct, and all religious books are correct, man was meant to go directly to God anyway. Men asked for mediators. God was willing to talk to, you're his children. So I don't know about y'all, but I would prefer to talk to my own child than somebody say, what if somebody came to you something, your daughter said.
And she's sitting right there. I'm like, why did you talk to me?
Exactly. So no, that doesn't make sense at all. The significance, man, is amazing, and you guys know I really don't harp on stuff unless the Holy Spirit pushing me on it. And circular reason is a sickness, man. It's intentionally a lie. See, one of the things I can tell you about, and this is again, there are some grand, great white folks in this world. Okay, we all know. Look, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them. But unfortunately, man, y'all plan was, man. This was one of the most evil and sinister ideas I've ever seen. Everything was meant to disillusion, allude to, or just a sinister concept in order to control. And if you control, you can invent, you can entice, you can direct. You look at even the AI and all this stuff. Man, I don't know about y'all, but to go to sleep, I watch Star Wars. You can literally see John Lucas, is his name? Luke? Yeah, John Lucas, the head of Star Wars, the entire series. We're talking about this as I was a little boy. It's all the same stuff. So if you really think AI is just happening, no. This was that, man, the next part of my book, and the next book I do, I got to put a part in there about manifest destiny. So look for, I got to put, because we also don't understand what manifest destiny is. It's when you have a plan and you implement that plan and you do whatever it takes to make it happen. But here's the fortunate part about us, and I'm not going to take over, Solomon. This is the fortunate part about us. All we need to do to implement our plan, and what is our plan, Solomon? Our plan is to make sure every black person, for generation to generation to generation, has an opportunity to succeed in their lives and not involve themselves in something that doesn't want them. And what do I mean by that to all the presumptuous John Hope Bryants out there? Okay? We want everybody to have this opportunity, not just a few of us. We no longer want to benefit the Jewish community or other communities. We want to benefit ourselves, grow something that, like all the other amazing communities have built, that we can sell. We want to build something of value and distribute it and be paid for that. So what we're going to do in the minority, in the community REIT, is that we're going to build a culture the same way the Indian community did. The Indian community, this is amazing. I got to say this, Solomon, before you read the next question. I think this is amazing. The Indian community started off buying motels, right? And you hear they own 70% of the motels in the United States. That being said, this is what they've done. That allowed them to send nephews to law school, nephews to medical school, nephews to dental school, to engineering school, right? So they built offshoots of vocational characteristics to the Indian community. But what it's also done is taught them how to a service industry within the hospitality culture. So they know how to service their own hotels, right? They know how to clean them. That means they know how to construct them. So they have engineers and all these other things. But this is another thing it's done. They have a culture that's outside of the subculture of the United States. It allows them to go to India where they have their real culture and create a higher end hotel group. So they're not only dealing motels in the United States. That's what I want us to be able to do. I want us to take this from the United States to Africa. But first we gotta hire young black folks. We can't be scared that people are gonna be scared not to go to hotels if we hire black folks, right? We gotta trust in our own. We have to do that. So anyway, Solomon, that's a concept that is a part of the community REIT. Our own and cultivating a culture of success.
See, I remember a part of the book, Mr. Reed, where you mentioned that having a plan is the grand idea, or it's one of the major things we need to do, but also learning how to move in silence.
Yes.
Because if you were to ask me right now, I'm sure for you too, Marcel, I don't know what the Indian plan is. I have no idea what the Chinese people got planned. We don't know.
Wow.
We do not know.
Nope.
But we can see that they have a plan.
Exactly.
And they're like, y'all stay over there. I
That's
have
right.
a plan, and that's my purpose. I'm going to do that. But the thing is, as black people, we are so accustomed to having things happen fast. If it doesn't happen fast, that means, the plan's not working. If it's not happening fast, that means something's wrong somewhere. Somebody's doing X, Y, and Z. But I want to go back to a very critical point in the book where it talks about that eternal noise. And I'm gonna just throw this question out there, and any one of you gentlemen can feel free to tackle it first. It goes: what internal noise must black individuals learn to quiet to break free from the spiritual and mental manipulations rooted into circular reasoning? I can read that again if y'all want me to.
Please.
It goes: what eternal noise must black individuals learn to quiet to break free from spiritual and mental manipulations rooted into circular reasoning?
Want me to go?
Yeah, please.
The internal noise, I think, is for us to truly hear who God is from ourselves and not what other people telling us who he is. Especially in our communities with being born into trauma and chaos, a lot of people really don't know what they talking about. Because honestly, we got generations of people who are not at peace within themselves. That noise that we must learn is just like who actually is God, for just a personal experience of mine. My grandma is a Baptist Christian, and I told her, she's better, she's at home, but just got out the hospital, and I mentioned to her, like, Ma, maybe you need to ask God, what is this moment of silence? What is this moment of uncomfortability for you that you sitting in right now? And just
I know what she said already, but I ain't gonna say that. Go ahead.
yeah, for sure. But actually, Mr. Reed, she told me she asked, and she gave me an answer. And I
Okay.
think she actually gave me an answer just because what I've been learning from you, I talked to her about, because that's, my grandma liked church. So I'm
Right.
we able to talk. That's
Put
what
it
we
up.
talk. And, she called me the next day. She been in and out the hospital for about 3 months. And she was like, I'm coming home. The day after. The next day, my grandma at the crib. And it was just that fast. And I let her know, like, that's what it is. But I remember when times my grandma told me I wasn't supposed to question God at all.
Yep.
You don't question God.
Yep.
I remember that. So just honestly, within this book, with the Art of War and really the whole book, it just gives you the opportunity to really unpack all that stuff you've been learning.
That's good.
And it's not the truth.
That's good.
It ain't the truth. So
See, look. If it's not the truth for you, it's not the truth. Do y'all hear what I say? I need everybody to hear me say that. If it's not the truth for you, it's not the truth. Listen, I grew up in probably the most racist town in the world. I didn't say the United States. I didn't say Soviet. In the world, okay? And I remember being in the classroom and telling, I don't know why I said, well, I felt it. I said in that classroom, I love being black. And the converse in the communique that young man gave back to me, I'll never forget his name, Dennis. He had a head as big as this. But he thought he was cute as hell just because he was white. It blew my mind. I'm like, dude, you really think you handsome just because you white? That's a reason? And the condescending statement he made, and it wasn't long, when it made me understand the perception he had. Now, what black people need to realize is we can't knock other people's manifest destiny. We can't. Whatever you allow someone to teach you, tell you, how you allow them to provoke you, that's your problem. I've always had a strong mind, which you got to recognize growing up in a 98% white town, how that went over. That didn't go over well. And they racist. So, Solomon, for me to answer your question, Marcel said that we have to fix the culture. I say we have to have our own culture. And the reason I say it has to be a new culture, because the culture that we're in is not ours. It doesn't benefit us. It doesn't benefit that is the answer to it all. If something don't benefit, you do it. And look, some of us will say, you got a nice big house, all these vehicles and all that other stuff. But this is what I told a young man today. I said, here's what happened. This is not a racist show, but this is reality. If you go somewhere and for 30 years of your life, you've been snickered at, rolled your eyes at, people under their breath when they serve you, calling you the N-word and all this other stuff. And now you have other cultures that has taken on the role that the other culture dropped. Okay? And I told this gentleman today, I said, listen, this is what's really crazy. And this is circular reason. This is a dead example of circular reason. You got to realize most of us in this age group, I remember when the Hispanic community just hung on corners, working for work. There weren't no Hispanic engineers and doctors and all that other shit. So here's what happens. What schools did they go to? They went to the public schools with black people. You mean what happened between 50 years ago, let's say even 60 years ago, and right now? Because obviously you didn't go to school with a bunch of black people that weren't successful doctors and stuff like you became, you know. And it's not like every Hispanic person is a doctor or a lawyer, or you understand what I'm saying? But here's my point. All the Hispanic people did was pick up what the Caucasians dropped down, or the Westerners dropped. So what does that show you? And every community's done that. The Asian community, the Indian community, done the same thing. You know, they're telling the kids, don't marry a black person. Why? Because they don't have any money, because of the concepts that were given to them through the manifest destiny of the Westerners. Now, having said that, what does that tell you, Solomon? They have a plan and a manifest destiny, and we are not included. And if we are included, our role is to be the lesser of the lesser of the lessers of the Westerners, so that everyone that comes to the United States and in the world can treat black people like Westerners do. I see black people on these trips to Spain and all these other places, and it's the same thing. Why are they staring? They stare at you because you're black. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're pretty, you're ugly, you're rich, you're poor, you're black. This is what's happening in Africa. And I got to say this to apply to us. In Africa, what's going to happen is this. Africa's going to rise up. They're not rising up because they have a great army. They're not rising. They're rising up because the world needs them. They're the last bastion of the world outside of outer space. There's no refineries there. There's no, when I say no, I'm talking about to the point that there are in the United States and other places in the world. Natural assets, infrastructure, all that other stuff. So they have to have somewhere to make money. So when Africa is negotiating all this in the next 3 years, I'll even go out as far as to say 4 years, Africa's going to be respected on a perspective that you're not going to believe. What does that do? That translates to us. But we have to take that, because here's the thing. Do you know why Westerners are so respected? The United States and Great Britain. That's the only reason they have all this respect. Nobody respects Spain, France, all these, even Canada. They respect them because of the United States, and they have the same complexion. So the same thing is going to happen there. Manifest destiny, okay? But in Brazil, in America, we have to do this, Solomon. We have to negotiate or diminish our divides. The Africans that come over here, the Ethiopians that aren't black, but they black on paper, because y'all signing something. We have to remove our divide, and we have to coalesce. Now, not all of us are going to do it, but we have to. So to remove circular reasoning, we have to get rid of all other people's cultures and live in our own. We don't have a food. There's no American black food. Right. What we call soul food, that's 2 dishes. I mean, literally, I'm not making fun of us. I'm being reality. And we got to stop having forums with people that have no authority. I have more authority than T.I. I have more authority than Candace Owens. Because I don't need a network to pay me. Do you understand? So I don't have to say something that other people want me to say under the guise of freedom. So we remove circular reasoning by building our own culture. And some people will start saying, Solomon, what does that mean? First of all, that means a society that makes money. See, Solomon is in one of those classes right now where he has to write, these papers,
and stuff.
Right? No paper need to be written on this, guys. Where the money at, and how do we get it? What's the plan? We know where the money coming from, out of our own pockets. You you standing around, y'all needed to buy beer when you were younger. Who got $5? That's how it works. So that's how we're gonna fund it. I'm sorry, Solomon. Go ahead. I had to elaborate on that.
That's good. I'm gonna let y'all gentlemen know. I look forward to Sundays so we can sit here and have these conversations.
Me too.
I look forward to it. Because as you were talking, Mr. Reed, I'm sitting here and something dawned on me. As black people, we don't have a culture.
Nope.
We don't. But we tell white people and we tell these other people they don't have a culture because they can't dance. They can't do all these things.
We don't have a culture.
We're caught up in entertainment and doing dumb stuff while they know the culture they've set for themselves. Make the money, be quiet, and keep going. We sit here and we get entertained, and we're like you've mentioned. I was sitting here thinking, back in the day they had these locomotives. I think they still have them now. Well, you have to put coal in there, and they travel throughout the country. But long story short, I look at the black community as that coal that goes into the locomotive. We're fueling other people's cultures and dreams to keep going. Yeah, to keep going, because they gave it to us and we took it.
That's good.
We're the only ones sitting on the internet trying to figure out what race Jesus was.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a black person thing to talk about. Oh yeah, Jesus was black. Jesus was this. Jesus was
right. We were already indigenous. Of course, we were indigenous. We were the first people here on this planet. You can't get more indigenous.
I think as well, like that, like you say, Mr. Reed, this they manifest destiny, and I think you really got to get them props for how they did it.
Yep.
Like, it was they plan and they conquered it and they don't care.
That's right.
They really, truly don't care about nobody but them.
So it's time to get ours. I don't give a... I literally, and I hope you guys don't as my mentees, I never think about stuff like that no more. I get up and I praise my God not only a few times, all day, okay? But at the same time, I'm not going to be online talking about, well, no, man, I'm going to be doing the same. Look at what successful people do and do it. Isn't that what they say in these self-help books?
Yeah.
Look at what successful cultures do and mimic it. That's our culture, to be successful.
Yeah.
You know, when I was growing up, guys, we wouldn't say this, but the people in the hood would tell us, don't let a Caucasian person beat you at anything. That's what we were told in the hood. And I knew that going out. When we were on that football field, bro, I'm starting because my dad is city councilman. No, you're not. And he didn't. You know, the thing about it is, look, we're not going to raise up a rebellion. We don't care about any of that. We're a subculture, just like we agree to be a subculture, okay? But we agree to have our own culture, okay? Part of that culture is being men of integrity, men of character, following God for real, not for play. So we marrying the woman we supposed to marry and not somebody the pastor told me to marry. We going to God first. I still don't agree with that. I heard that. Well, the scriptures say, hold on a second, bro. I need to hear from God myself. I don't trust you. You got 2 babies over here. You know, integrity, listen, there are men that might know a little bit more about the Bible than I do, but I know this. My relationship with God is built on integrity. Whenever I do things outside of what is identified as character in relation to God, stuff started to fall apart. Okay? You both men yeah. But you know what people who believe words believe? With a word, you can justify anything. I'll never forget my stepmother. Thank God for my stepmother. She could always make me see this. My stepmother said one day, and I'm going to tell you something. I told you guys before, I was amazing at arguing the Bible. Woo! God bless you, brother. You try to argue with me. My stepmother told me, she said, and it cut me, because I respected her. She said, you can say whatever you want to say. Well, actually, she didn't say nothing. She just rolled her eyes when I answered the question slick on her. And because I respected her so much, I defined that day that I would never, ever move without intentional respect, integrity, and character, right? And that's the day I decided I was going to start Gallimore. That's the day. Said I got to be a man like my father is. My father wasn't rich, he wasn't, but he was a man of integrity. The man of integrity. When you looked at him, he was like looking in the mirror. So even to say that, Solomon, someone that's stuck in circular reason is like somebody that looks at a brick wall. I guess a better word would be a brick window, and tries to see the other side. That's what it's like.
So I'm chiming real quick, and I'm gonna take this circular reasoning back to our families. Cause I got into this whole thing. It was brand new to me too. Like, I knew what it was, but I didn't know that circular reasoning. Cause like I mentioned before, I'm in this loop where I can't even get out of to think outside the box. So
I love when Solomon get excited, man.
I started looking up stuff, man. I started to look up stuff, and I think this might come off to some people a certain type of way, but I think the reason why the black family is so divided is because of circular reasoning. I went back and I looked at this study that a doctor put together back in 2013. And he said the reason why, what I got from that is the reason why a lot of family members, a lot of people don't get along is because, for instance, I have a daughter. I can say to my daughter, like, hey, I want you to go to school because I'm your dad and I know what's best for you. Mm-hmm. And I don't give her any other context or anything else as to why she need to go to school. Mm. And now that's an expectation that she has to carry. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing else. There's no basic foundation to it is nothing. It's just what it is because I told her that because I'm her dad. So when she get to a point in her life, yeah, when she get to a point in her life when she starts to ask me questions like, "Hey, Dad, you told me to go to school and so on and so forth. I've gotten all these degrees and all these things, and then what? Do I keep telling her, okay, do this, do that because I'm her dad, or do I keep telling her that?" And it gets to a point where majority of us black people, we have these family members, even our parents, where we cut ourselves off them. It's like, I don't want to deal with you because you're not telling me what I'm supposed to hear, or you're not leading me to where I'm supposed to go. But you keep trying to tell me things, and I don't want I don't want no parts of it.
And you're not leading me anywhere that benefits me. It's the
Correct.
same thing that black people do with other cultures. We're waiting for the other culture or the manifested culture to tell us what to do.
Yep.
Our answer isn't in those people. And God bless them. I don't want, well, I ain't gonna say it. I don't have anything to do with them. I work with them every day. But I'm not looking for you to tell me what to do. I always wondered in my professional career, and God bless y'all, my Caucasian friends, y'all got this bad. Y'all love to tell us what to do. Y'all love to teach us. Well, I used to drive people crazy, man, because they would come up to me, well, I said, look, man, what would make you assume I don't know that already? And they look at me like, and I told a good friend of mine one day, I said, do you know what most intelligent black men act like? And this is when Tropic Thunder came out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I say, I want you to watch Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. And you want to know how smart black men act to Caucasians who talk to him like they children? Like he talks.
In the movie.
That condescending. We may sound condescending because you sound ridiculous trying to teach elementary stuff to a grown man. But we can't knock them for that because that's the position we put ourselves in. Solomon, both of you guys know because you work jobs. When most brothers go to jobs, I don't care what their title is, they're submissive to somebody lesser than them. Why? Because they know if they mess up with the secretary, oh, I didn't say that, the general manager, but you're the vice president of the entire department division. Nah, but if I make her mad, she gonna tell it. Okay. So they don't respect you. They don't respect the title. That's why you treat people in your own community the way you do. Okay? If you listen, I'm gonna keep saying his name, the John Hope Bryant, the man without a plan is what I call him. The man just talking, right? Every time he comes online, he gives this, again, circular reason. Circular reason can always also be a contradictory statement. See, if you've ever been a player in your life, and I don't know nobody on here, okay, that was a player back in the day, the way you get a woman to think about you is to make contradictory statements. You're beautiful, but you know what I'm saying? That's how John Hope Bryant talks. I don't know, black people do this. You do good over here, but hold on a second, man. Who are you? Who authorized you as my father? You know what I'm saying? We don't know if you're successful or not. You wearing these weird jackets that you can buy from Costco. I mean, who's ordained you? And someone was saying the other day they've yet to ordain. He's been online now for about 10 years to ordain him the financial leader of black people. Well, the community REIT is going to take their responsibility. What you think, Solomon? We're going to take that responsibility not only to teach you guys about money, but to teach you about yourself, to teach you about the real issues in the world. You shouldn't be following a church. You shouldn't be following a pastor because at this moment in time, whether they change or not is irrelevant. You know, if a woman is with a man that keeps cheating on her, or if a man is with a woman that keeps cheating, he waiting on her to change? No, that's her character. Or that's his character, right? That's what he or she do. We can't wait on that. We don't have time for that. We need to move right now. In fact, the community REIT's already moving. So we got a few more minutes for your questions because we've gotten in today.
Yep.
But actually, we have, we can actually continue this next week.
Okay.
But look, the conversation was amazing, and I like you guys. I enjoy talking to you on Sundays because I think we get a lot out. I think people not only need to know you guys' personalities, and they need to know your hearts. They need to know that we all really love God, we all really follow God, and we all want to see them successful. Okay. One thing that we're not gonna do ever, we're not gonna lose you guys into thinking we don't want to make money with y'all. We're never gonna do that. I don't know how to do that. I know when I wake up, from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, I want to make money. Okay. But what we're focused on is removal of trauma, relationship with God, and clear thinking and clear thought out plan strategy.
Mhm.
That's what we're about. So Solomon, if you want to close us out with whatever you have to say. Well, first of all, let's let Marcel had talked a lot today.
Mhm.
So let's let Marcel talk about some of his thoughts. He always got something good to say.
Let's see. So I feel like just us steady going through circular reasoning is to just stop doubting the confusion. Stop not doubting confusion, I'm sorry. Having doubt and confusion about what we really feel. Again, especially as man, like that nervous system really gonna tell you what's going on. That's just your
Yep.
brain.
Yep.
And with the circular reasoning, it seems to detach you from that. And again, if we talk about all these people and TV and culture, it just disconnects you from God. Because
Yes.
how you at peace is with your nervous system at peace, and that's how you'll be able to hear God, which we have talked about earlier today. So yeah, just with circular reasoning, I guess one thing you guys can just take home is like continue to see the forest in the trees about everything. Stop doubting and confusing how you feel, and you will be all right, man. And I definitely want to talk more about it next week because I still got a lot to say. Y'all did y'all thing, salute. But yeah,
So
don't
basically,
be
just
confused.
tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth. Everybody listen to it. Tell yourself the truth. Go ahead, Solomon.
So, man, I don't know where this last hour went.
Me.
It flew. It definitely flew.
Yeah, it flew by. It's like we got on here and then boom, it just went by. But I always want to thank all of you gentlemen for coming on. I want to thank the community for coming together. But not even a but. I want to close off with this analogy. I don't know if y'all heard this saying before, but as black people, we're being looked at as monkeys in a box, and it started off with two monkeys being put in the box. The first one tried to get out. They smacked him and said, "Get back in the box." He went back in the box and told the other one, "Don't try to get out because they're gonna smack you." They stayed in the box and start having children. They start telling their children, "Hey, you can't get out the box. They're gonna smack you if you try to get out." Now, mind you, the second monkey hasn't tried it. It's going based off of what the first monkey told him, like, "Hey, don't try to get out the box." And they keep passing it on and on and on and on. And the whole time the box is wide open. Whole time it's wide open. But we're sitting in this box. I say that to say our people need to start thinking outside that box and coming out together. You don't necessarily have to be a part of the community REIT, but we want psychologically, we just want that mindset to start to change for us to have our own manifest destiny,
Right.
to do the things that we want to do and build our own culture and have something we can depend on.
Stop looking for the acceptance of other cultures.
Yep.
When I go places, I don't even expect to communicate with. I'm not being racist. But why would I entertain a culture that I have to be good enough to be involved in? Just me existing isn't enough.
Yep, connection was going out a little bit. But I say that to say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all again for joining. Marcel said it. Next week, we're going to be back here finishing up this conversation because man has a lot to say and we got to hear him out. But thank you, gentlemen. And don't forget to like this video, comment, and also please check us out, thecommunityreit.com. And also you can send emails. You can join us on Thursdays where we have our live meetings and recordings. And come be a part of the community so we can grow and have our own manifest destiny. Until next time, thank you, man. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Talk to you next week.
Next week, thank you.
Bye.
Yes, sir.